Hi, this is Dee at Aloha, Astro. We're looking at a new moon in the cardinal earth sign of Capricorn today, and that was occurring at 6:58 a.m. Eastern Time at 20 degrees 44 minutes of Capricorn. Let's take a look at the forecast. New moon in Capricorn, Thursday, January 11th, heralds the beginning of momentous changes and transformation in your personal life, as well as globally. But sacrifice and loss may accompany progress and success, as the moon and sun in Capricorn join Pluto in Capricorn, forming a trine aspect to Uranus retrograde in Taurus, square aspects to Chiron conjunct the North Node and Jupiter in Taurus, and a sextile aspect to Neptune in Pisces, while Mars in Capricorn and Venus and Mercury in Sagittarius all square Neptune. This month, Pluto will leave Capricorn to enter Aquarius on the 20th, and Uranus, the ruling planet of Aquarius, will come out of retrograde on the 27th, creating such a major shift in energy that it will become obvious that some things will never be the same again. A minor grand trine aspect pattern involving Mars in Capricorn, Jupiter in Taurus, and Saturn in Pisces indicates that actions taken now toward improvement or gain have the chance to become a strong foundation for even greater success, and probably because failure is not an option. Venus trine to Chiron and the North Node, and Mars and Mercury trine to Jupiter, are encouraging you to bring your best abilities, talents, skills, and knowledge forward to share with others, as if your life depends upon it. You can become inspired and find the motivation to accomplish great things by studying the lives of people who have changed the course of history, or were as ordinary as you, but their belief in themselves and commitment to a cause empowered them to never give up. Work on strengthening your spiritual muscles and conquering fear of the future. Truly knowing you are the person in control of your thoughts and feelings is the ultimate power. So yeah, that sounds pretty heavy, and it is pretty heavy. We have a lot going on right now, and it conveys strong martial energy as well as like the pulling together or the mustering of forces directed toward the future, and ideally for the better, but as always, there are aspects that are easy and flowing and very supportive, and then there are aspects that are bringing out the shadows or the challenges and the things that might be either holding us back, or whether they're internal or external, there's still stuff going on that says like, whoa, no, we can't have that. Why would we want to have all those good things? Let's have the struggle instead. And we have some aspects that can be particularly greedy and not concerned with the greater good of the whole, at the same time that we have aspects saying humanity's got to kind of pull together and look toward a better future. So while we're in the midst of this chaos going on, integrity and being aware of yourself, why you're here, and being purposeful is important. Protecting your own space and your own knowing what is right for you is also important. But you have to consider that you are not an isolated being. You are part of the rest of society. We've got a bowl chart right now, which always carries a great deal of energy because it's kind of like a train where we've got the engine and the caboose, or the edges of the bowl, putting most of that energy out there. So looking at the planets that are sitting on the cusps of the bowl will tell us a lot about the situation, where people's energy is directed right now. And change is definitely in the offing while we have Uranus, the planet of change, the future, technology. It rules Aquarius, so it is humanity and society oriented as well. And it's in a sign that rules values and resources, money, as well as our comfort and our security. Taurus, which is a fixed earth sign. Then we have the mutable energy, which is flexible, adaptable, and it's rather, well, opportunistic and seeking in Sagittarius, as well as open-minded. So we've got a little bit of the stubbornness here, and it's been hard, for the last couple of years while we've had Uranus moving through Taurus, that money is changing, values are changing, society as a whole is changing, and we do still have to take care of making sure people are fed and safe and have a home to live in. And I think we're going to see a lot of things getting worse before they get better overall. And the solution really is going to come from people being able to either stand up to opposing forces and unite for the greater good of all. Well, really, that's going to be the way. And Venus in Sagittarius, well, on the mundane level, and your day-to-day life, because it is a planet of affection, pleasure, and desire, and it's in a friendly, kind of open-ended sign. It is squaring Neptune in Pisces, which has romantic overtones, so there may be some either disappointments in love or unrequited love and yearning, or more of the fantasy or dream than the reality there. And we've got Mercury and Mars. Mercury there in Sagittarius, Mars in Capricorn. Mars is very interesting right now, and it is making this sextile to Saturn. And when Mars and Saturn have an exchange of energy, it's kind of like the rock in the hard place or the steel in the fire. It's strong. Even though this is a sextile, it is part of a larger aspect pattern that is making energy move forward toward a constructive growth. And Saturn and Jupiter are very different from each other. We have the growth and expansion of Jupiter, which rules Sagittarius, and then we have the slower energy of Saturn, which is more conservative and rooted, grounded, wants things to be in a more structured form, but they are working well together under a strong strategic Mars that has military type of mindset behind it. If people can focus and work together as a team, great changes for the betterment of humanity can come about right now. However, because we also have things like the moon, the sun, and Pluto squaring Jupiter, which will intensify greed and fear. Those who have power may actually be in a position to exert more of it or abuse it. And what do you get when you have that? Basically, war, or disagreements between sides, and the working out of the conflict. I am not sure that just talking is enough. Humanity has still not been able to let go of a need for physical combat, for a way to express that anger, or even to make progress. It's as if we want to create our own difficulties and make things worse at the time that we really want to make things better. And that may all just be because we're living in a dualistic world. There's polarity. The lunar nodes are about self, and the other, Aries and Libra, and there are lessons in that, of course. And there are positive, such as the Venus to Chiron, which actually can help in matters of love or in pulling together as friends or a team. But then again, we have that square, and that can stand in the way of or show the work that still needs to be done, particularly in issues that are cardinal, the need to be right, arrogance, um, being unwilling to work with others. So we've got some confusion going on in there. And I don't know if you've been experiencing what feels like Mercury retrograde, even though Mercury's no longer retrograde, but the square that Mercury's been making to Neptune is basically like an imposter of Mercury retrograde. It certainly brings in the illusion, the deception, the trickster energy, the fantasy, not seeing things clearly. I was reading an email. I'm on the email newsletter list for astrologer Alan Clay, and he focuses on dwarf planets and other newer heavenly bodies that astrologers are looking at. And the amazing thing about being interested in astrology today is that as our consciousness is expanding and our communication has gone global to the point where we can connect with anybody, anywhere, in the moment, um, astrology is growing. We are integrating more bodies and their potential energies because our lives are becoming increasingly more unusual, complicated. We're not sitting in little towns that our parents and grandparents and generations have sat in for hundreds of years and just sitting still in one place in a small group of people. We can now go anywhere, communicate with anybody, anywhere. And as life becomes more complex, we need to see what the connection is with the expansion out there in the heavens in terms of our awareness of asteroids, dwarf planets, and so on that are possibly having an effect. So people are able to exchange their observations and gather data, and it's all moving so fast. I could spend hours sitting on astrology forums just reading, studying, and looking at charts to see how these new awarenesses are they true? Are they not true? Because just like anything else on the internet, particularly, there's accurate information and then there's disinformation, or we've got a totally new view right now in the world of what is truth and what is not truth, and what is real and what is not real. And even the lies being presented as truth, alternate realities. So back to Alan Clay and the email that I just read over briefly this morning. He mentions that Ixion, Ixion, is conjunct Mars. So I know absolutely nothing of this. So I did a quick Google search about the astrological meaning of Ixion, and it says Ixion is a centaur object that orbits the sun between Saturn and Uranus. Well, there we have the form and the structure and tradition, and then the change and the future, and it's hanging out between the two. So obviously it's trying to bridge them, or it's going to be agitating them in some way and bringing out qualities of both. And we are at a point where I think a lot of old things are falling away and new things are coming in, but how to adjust to all of that is the challenge. Discovered in 2001, often associated with themes of betrayal, duplicity, and the consequences of unrestrained desires. Well, that's not exactly love and light, but if things of that nature are coming into awareness, and then something has to be done about what we're observing, then it may be quite timely. Uh, Here we've got blessing of Ixion, Pluto's lawless brother, uh, and it presents it in a more spiritual light, a passionate spiritual mission, which may involve a violation of existing customs. What I've been feeling with Mars and Capricorn is that there's going to be massive, like this is a rock being dropped in a pond right now, and we're in the now moment, but the ripples going out from the events of this month are going to set a tone for this year, where we're going to see a lot of upheaval in law and politics, as well as the structure of the earth, the climate. Things are just going to rock and roll. And wear your hard hat, just wear your hard hat and strengthen up your spiritual reserves. Pay attention, get your material resources and possessions all in order as well. Let go of the stuff you don't need that is literally weighing you down materially, psychologically, emotionally, spiritually, and work on strengthening yourself right now. But why? Because you are going to be required to be interacting from that position of strength with others. Let's take a look at and I probably haven't hit on every aspect in here, but I don't want to talk all day. The Sabian symbol, Capricorn 21, we round up to Capricorn 21. A relay race, the value of competition in developing group consciousness. Here we are no longer dealing with competition between individuals, but with competition between groups of individuals who take turns successively in order to maximize the group effort and the possibility of outstanding results. The whole of civilization is a vast kind of relay race in which groups of people and generations carry the torch of what we call progress. Major achievements result from the sum total of human strivings. The first symbol of the 59th sequence stresses one especially dynamic aspect of group performance. Wherever this symbol appears, it emphasizes the value of group cooperation and of necessary give and take. One must seek to relate and adjust one's strength to the challenge presented by competitors in dynamic interchange. I'm usually not a big fan of history and really bombed out on it when I had to learn it in school, but the painting that I chose today, and I always feel like it's a kind of like a spiritual quest in a way when I look for images that represent what I'm feeling from the planetary transits. So it led me to this painting, and I would say look it up on Wikipedia because it's fascinating just to read about that time period in history, this battle that occurred with Alexander the Great that really did rewrite history and changed the world at the time that it occurred. And I am not definitely saying, like, I'm not a supporter of war. In fact, when I was very young and I first understood death and war, it absolutely shocked me that there was such a thing. And I resolved at that time, and I even felt it in my heart, that I would live to see a time where there is no war, that's just a thing that we no longer have. Perhaps there will be that day, and perhaps I will see it. And it may sound very airy-fairy to many people, but we might be at a juncture where how we negotiate things between races, between cultures, between countries, between cities, between people living on this planet may have to change, and it may be literally like a divine inter what do you call it? Right. A divine intervention, because we have such powerful Neptune in Pisces going on and Saturn in Pisces going on. It's almost as if the planets are saying, well, when are you going to stop messing around and take on your more godlike qualities, and bring more of the spirituality which you have access to into your life? And that's not just personal, but that is global as well. But an interesting read about history, if you do look up this painting. And at the time that the artist painted this, it was possibly meant to be apocalyptic. So the energy at that time, people felt like they were at such a major point in time. And we are the same way right now. And how are you individually going to navigate such an intense time in history while history is being made? That's going to be up to you. And I don't know if there's a right or a wrong in it either, because it has to be something that you can live with within yourself. All right, until we get to the full moon on the 25th, do take care and stay safe. I'll talk to you soon.